So, as you just said, Dana, the Texas House Speaker is now signing civil arrest warrants. He's citing dereliction of duty after dozens of Democrats flew off to blue states. They're hoping to prevent a vote on the new map that could end up giving Republicans up to 5 new seats in Congress.
And Governor Greg Abbott is threatening them with the risk of daily fines, felony charges, and removal from office. But Democrats say it is time for a fight.
Don't mess with democracy. Don't do it. You can play that game in Texas. You can gerrymander the hell out of that map. Guess what? 2 can play that game.
In the United States of America, racism is going to be met with our taking a stand for democracy. You take a stand for racism. We will stand for democracy, and we will win.
They expect Democrats to kind of be the nice guys that we are. They expect us to take the punch and say thank you. Well, I am here to tell you, not only are we going to punch back, but we're about to beat you down. That's right. Yeah. We are going to win.
All right, Garrett Tenney in Chicago this morning with some new developments for us on this story. What can you tell us, Garrett?
Hey, Jillian, good morning. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has also ordered the state police to help track down any of those missing lawmakers who are still within state lines. He's also ordered the Texas Rangers to investigate those Democrats for potential bribery violations over paying off their fines using political donations. Most of those missing Democrats, though, are still here in Illinois. And overnight, they said they will not be intimidated and they are not backing down in this fight. But since all they can really do is delay a vote on these new congressional maps, they are calling on Democrats in blue states across the country to take up arms in this redistricting fight.
Texas Democrats broke quorum because sometimes the only way to uphold your oath is to refuse to play along with the rigged game.
I want to encourage California and New York and Maryland and Washington State to say, you know what, our gloves are off. If war is war, and Democrats, if y'all are going to do it in Texas, we're going to do it here.
It's been Democrats, we have shown up to a gunfight with nothing but good intentions and dull knives. And that era is over.
Congressman Vesey is one of the lawmakers who will likely lose their House seat if these new maps are passed. And while Democrats across the country are calling foul over the GOP's redistricting efforts in Texas, Republicans are pointing out that this is something Democrats have already done in numerous states, including here in Illinois.
Texas has a right to redraw these lines to fully represent the desires of every voter in the state. These are seats where Democrats are having to come to grips with the reality. And that is, they are now losing the votes of Hispanics and black voters in the state of Texas. And these districts are going to show that Hispanics and blacks, as well as others, are voting for Republican.
Now, if Texas does go through with this mid-decade redistricting, Democrats in California are preparing to hold a special election possibly this November to have their own new congressional maps. They could get rid of 6 House Republican seats. Of course, that is something that voters there would have to approve. Jillian?
All right, Garrett Tenney in Chicago for us this morning. Thank you.
Joining us for more on this, Clay Travis from OutKick. Let's listen to Governors Newsom, Hochul, and Pritzker on their thoughts.
Only if they move forward to dismantling the protocols that are well established would the state of California move forward in kind, fighting, yes, fire with fire.
This is a war. We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off.
We will not let power go unchecked, right? Or let your voices and their voices go unheard.
And of course, Clay, I'm going to put up for everyone to see. This is the map of congressional districts in Illinois, which, as you can see, they really had to twist themselves into knots to come up with this particular one. But this is like a gerrymandered arms race. How do you see it?
Well, first of all, thanks, guys, for having me on. And I can't believe that Democrats are this big of morons on this particular issue. They went to Illinois, which has the most gerrymandered districts, as you just showed, anywhere in the country, to protest the fact that Texas might do a gerrymander. In Illinois right now, Donald Trump got 45% of the vote in the state of Illinois. Do you know how many Democrat congressmen there are? 14. Republican congressmen, 3. So Illinois has gerrymandered a massive advantage for themselves. 45% of the state voted Republican, yet only 3 out of the 17 congressional districts in Illinois are represented by Republicans on that map you just showed. So why in the world, of all of the places you could go to complain about gerrymander, would Democrats be this unintelligent to go to a place that is the most gerrymandered in their favor, maybe anywhere in the country? Second part, that map you showed of Texas. I think this is really important. The reason why that map potentially could flip 5 Republican seats from the Democrat side is because of the massive growth, look at that, of Hispanic support in Texas for Trump and for the Republican Party. All down on that border, that used to be deep blue Democrat districts. As Democrats have been losing Hispanic voters, and they nearly lost Hispanic voters nationwide, they did lose Hispanic men. We have seen massive growth in states like Florida and Texas in the Hispanic vote coming over to the Republican Party. Far from being racist, the reason these districts are in play is because of the massive growth under President Trump of Hispanic support. So I think this falls flat on its face. And even the New York Times, guys, even the New York Times said, if you want to analyze the overall nationwide vote, things right now are rigged a little bit in favor of the Democrat Party because the national popular vote, which was won by Republicans in 2024, was not reflected in the same majority that you would expect, since Republicans only ended up with a 3-vote majority in the House. So all of this, I think, is falling on deaf ears because Democrats are already coming with unclean hands, having done most of their gerrymanders already.
Clay, gerrymandering is one of those sort of political tricks of the trade I would categorize as like fancy footwork or, a workaround, rather than the grueling, painstaking work of winning elections. It seems, at least in Washington lately, that all of governance has been reduced to this. Who can get away with coming up with new, quick, fast ways to work around the will of the people?
Well, Jillian, I think what you're hitting on is an important point here. It's also, where do you start to talk about gerrymandering? Because notice the way Democrats are trying to narratively construct this argument. They are saying, oh, Texas just out of nowhere decided that they were going to suddenly gerrymander and we have to respond to it. The reality is every state since the 2020 census happened, which, oh, by the way, is flawed in favor of Democrats, and very few people talk about it, but they actually misallocated some of the congressional seats and as a result, some of the electoral votes. But they all started this in 2020. If anything, Texas is just late in their response, which Democrats are taking as an opening salvo as opposed to what it is, which is a response to prior actions.
All right, Clay Travis, thank you so much for joining us. We've got a busy morning ahead, and that is just one of the stories we are covering. Thank you, Clay.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.